Chris, North Melbourne this week. Have you had thought much about who you'll come up against and what to expect from them?
Yeah, well, they're coming off a bye. They've had a bit of a refresher upper and looking forward to probably coming over here and getting the job done. I think, as Ross said, they're going to erupt. And if you look back, they've been playing some terrific football, and we do know the capabilities that they can provide with a very strong attack and good midfield with the defence helping out. So for us, it's going to be another challenge. It was good for us to get the win on the weekend against Brisbane, and now we look forward to the next game, which is the Kangaroos.
Was Ross satisfied with the performance against Brisbane?
I think more the playing group wasn't really satisfied the way we played on the day, but there is some positives out of it, and that's what we did look forward to reviewing. But it does give us a good opportunity this week to really focus on some of the things that we want to improve on, to make sure that when we do come up against Kangaroos, who are a really good side, that we can have a really good four-quarter effort.
Does it show how far the club's come that you walk away from a 40-point win not entirely happy with how you perform?
Yeah, I think so, especially when I first came to the club. You know, sometimes we wouldn't play that well and we wouldn't be able to scrape away with the victory, and to still be able to scrape away with the victory knowing that we haven't played our best football, it is exciting, and it does give good belief to the 22 players that when they get out there that they are focusing on giving great effort and playing their role, and sometimes when it's a little bit off, we're still able to get the job done. And you look at the great sides over the time like Geelong, Hawthorn, Collingwood, when they're not at their best, they still do get the 4 points.
The bye at 2 home games, do you feel refreshed? Not just from the bye, the fact that you don't have to travel for 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's always a positive when you get to stay home. We do travel a lot during the season, but we are an anywhere, anytime side, and we like to believe in that. And we've come off the bye. We've been able to have a chance to freshen up, and I personally feel the body's coping really well. And I think most of the players have really enjoyed the time off, which the club and Ross really focused on getting us an opportunity to get away. And we've come back, really training really hard during our training sessions and trying to put that into practice in the game.
Your coach said that Michael Walters, Aaron Sandlands and Matthew Pavlich are sort of up in their training and probably training almost fully now. What does that do to the playing group, knowing that you've got that stock to come back in at some stage? Does it put pressure on? Does everyone now not feel safe in the team, even though you're winning, if you understand what I'm saying? Is everyone on notice?
You'd always want people to be on notice. I think that's when your side's at the best. When you get complacent and you feel that your spot's not in jeopardy, you that can come out in a game on the weekend. And with everyone knowing that we've got such great players and champions of the game ready to step back in and prove themselves on the training track to give themselves the best opportunity to play on the weekend, it does put some pressure on the boys come game day. And I think with that pressure, it gets the best, brings out the best in their ability and what they need to do. And when you know that you've got someone trying to take your spot, you always seem to play a lot harder and make sure you can try to keep your seat on the bus, as Ross says.
Does that go with training, application, everything you do? Do you feel like 24/7 at this football club, all these guns sitting here ready to go, do you feel like everyone goes to another level?
Yeah, well, I think Mzungu touched on it the other day. He said that the way we prepare is every training session we do, weights, meeting, training, running, that we do it at our best ability. And when you've got the senior players getting driven by the younger players in that area, it does put everyone on notice that everyone's fighting for a spot on the bus, as Ross says. And it's a great opportunity where you've got great players coming back into the side, knowing that you're getting the job done on the weekend can really hopefully strengthen up the side coming into the later part of the season.
Chris, in the past when Pav's gone out of the side, a lot of the pressure's gone on you as the sort of key forward that the team's going to, but this time around it seems to have worked a lot better than in the past. Is that just a case of everybody else stepping up around you, or have you improved too?
I'd like to think that over the last couple of years I've really focused on my game to get it at the best ability, but it is a team effort, and to have such great players alongside of me, Michael Walters when he was in the side, but with players such as Jack Hanneth, Alex Silvani, Hayden Crozier, Hayden Ballantyne really stepping up in a forward group, really building some chemistry. It does make the job a lot easier and spread amongst the 6 forwards that get in there, and having such great delivery from the midfield and pressure from the backs makes the job always a lot easier for the forwards, and we just try to repay that with keeping the ball in there and hopefully finishing off their hard work.
Chris, other clubs have said North Melbourne are a bit mentally fragile given the results that they've produced last quarters, last halves. North Melbourne themselves have said they're a bit shaky at times this season. Do you feel that come Sunday you know that even if you're down by a couple of goals during the second half, that there's that window for you, given what we've seen this year from North?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think that they're such a terrific side. They've got such capable players of really damaging you and hanging you throughout the game. And it is unfortunate some of the losses they've had, but it goes either way with a few points, and they're sitting right up there in the top 8. And I can always recall back when I first started playing at this club that we would lose a lot of games within 6 points, and that get branded with us. But it is all about just practicing, putting it into training, and putting it there in game day. And I think with Brad Scott and the team, that they're really working hard. They're getting things in order, and this break would really freshen them up. And as Ross said, they're coming over here to get the job done and to prove themselves. So for us, we've got to be on the ball and be ready to go.
So you're saying you've been through a bit what North's going through in terms of trying to get the job done at times when you first started, that you're in a position to win but couldn't quite close the deal?
Oh, I think every AFL club goes through it. There's so many opportunities throughout a game. There's so many little battles that you face that you need to win. And to me, and what I've learnt through Ross, is that it all comes down to preparation. It comes down to what you do training. If you train with complacency and going through the motions, then sometimes that can show through the game. And that's something that we're really focused on putting into action, is that we train the way we want to play. And I feel that has come out in our game. And I think that throughout the course of a year, there is lapses and concentration losses throughout teams. But the good sides, like I said before, really do find a way to win. And I think that the Kangaroos this week, with having a bye, coming off, being really refreshed, will come out there guns blazing.
Not just a media perspective here, Chris, but also your own fans and the generic football public says it's pretty boring stuff watching Freo play now. Gone is the thrill of the chase and the high scores and the great marks and all this stuff. The weekend was an indication of that. The Brisbane game was a pretty tough game to watch. Was it tough to play in, and do you care what people think of the brand?
I'd probably like to think of what Ross would say. It'd be 4 points is always good. And no matter how we get the job done, I would take 4 points any day. You bank them and you give yourself the best opportunity to play finals footy, and that's what every AFL club's trying to do.
But you're a Y-Gen kid who loves to, you love your footy. I mean, is it hard to maintain the Ross Lyon style in a game that is sort of just going through its paces? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it just lacked flair, and I'm not saying you're winning, which is great, but do you feel as a team and the club you'd like to play with a bit more abandon?
No, I think that we're, as a team and 22 players in the club all together, we're right behind Ross and the coaching staff of what they're trying to portray as us in a football club, and we know exactly how we want to play and what we got to do. And for us as a unit, that's the play the exact same way every time, and to get the job done. Fans may see it as boring, like you said, but for us, it is getting the job done. I think our faithful and our Freo fans will understand that they'd prefer to see wins on the board than a certain style of play.
Chris, Ross has said though he wants to score more in the second half of the year. Defensively, he's pretty happy, but wants to score more. How can you go about achieving that?
I think we'd all love to score more, and it does come down to the game of how it is. And Brisbane do deserve some credit. They played really well on the weekend. They came across with a plan, and I think they, throughout the game, were really focusing on getting a four-quarter effort, and they were close to doing that. And for us, it does bring the opportunity of getting scoreboard pressure, and it's just about taking the opportunities and really moving the ball slick and sharp and getting inside forward 50. And I do feel that you do get a little bit more personnel back in the forward line. We'll create more opportunities, but it just gives the opportunity for everyone that plays in the forward line to step up and to really finish off the hard work that the midfielders and defenders are doing.
Chris, you mentioned there were some things that Ross wasn't so happy with after the Brisbane game. What particularly do you think needs to improve going in, especially against a side like the Kangaroos? They've got a lot of weapons, Harvey and Wells and these guys, and they're quite an attacking team. What do you think it will be a sort of focus throughout the week to get over the Roos?
I just think that what was been spoken, that was a pretty uncontested game, something that we're not, that's not known for our brand. We like to make it a contested game, keep it close, and then use the spread and the run from our midfield and defenders. And throughout the weekend against Brisbane, they did get a lot of free-flowing game and bouncing out of the half-back zone and getting into their forward line. So for us against Kangaroos, we know they've got a lot of speed, a lot of run, and some quality players, like you said. So got to make it contested, lock it in, stop their run, and give us the best opportunity to play the way we want to play and get the job done.
Just one more. Peter Bell on 6PR sort of saying that you were probably a 40-metre kick at best, just sort of getting into you a little bit. How far do you think you can?
Yep, 40 metres, you're probably spot on, to be honest. I feel that I work pretty hard throughout the game. That's get towards the end of my shot, that 40 metres probably is on the mark. But my teammates know that. They know my capabilities and distance, and I feel that if I work hard enough for them, and they will repay me by looking after me. But I think what we focus on as a forward group as well is just that all the hard work that the midfielders and defenders do. You know, you'd love to finish off their hard work by getting some scoreboard pressure, as you said.
Probably kick 10 metres further than belly.
One of the East Coast scribes, East Coast in particular, say that you're a top 4 team. Do you see that, and do you understand the importance of finishing top 4? Have you spoken about it as a group? I know it's 1 week at a time and all the cliches, but do you speak as a group of saying, if we can maintain the rage and finish top 4, we give our best chance of going further?
I think if you look in the future, it can bring a lot of complacency throughout the group. And if you speak about top 4 or finals football halfway through the year, then yeah, you do put the side in complacency and probably doubt of what actually can happen. It is about the next moment. It is about the next training session, let alone the next game. And we've focused on training well, playing well, and that's something that we really do believe in. So for us, we haven't really spoken about it. I honestly believe the coaches have probably thought about it, but as a playing group, it's about the next weight session, the next meeting, the next training session to really set ourselves up for the next game. And this week's Kangaroos.
Is that hard to do though, Chris? Sorry, is that hard to do? Every newspaper, television, radio, the fans, websites, as a you obviously, do you not, as a group, deliberately go and hear what people say? Do you shut it down? How do you, because everyone is talking about it, how do you deal with that?
I think you just hear it and you accept what people are saying, but if you don't get the job done, then you're not going to be there. And then probably the scrutiny of the side believing that they're a top 4 side and not getting the job done then proves probably a bit of a smack in the face to yourself. So it's really about what we can do as a side, and that's train well and then play well. And the coaching staff will probably have their plans in place of exactly where they feel we can finish. But I think as a group and a coaching staff as well, we're all focused on the next goal and the next moment.
Is it right that you almost prepare for training almost as if it's a game?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have a self-belief that we train well and we train the way we want to play, that will happen come game day.
Can I just ask you about Suma, Chris? You would have had a bit to do with him over the last couple of years. His name gets bandied around as soon as a coaching opportunity comes up. Do you think he has what it takes to be a senior coach at AFL level?
I think Peter Sumich is a terrific coach, and I've loved working with him. I think it's definitely a personal decision on what he decides to do if he feels that's best for him and his family. But I would love to have him stay here with me, and I'm here for another 3 years more, hopefully, and hopefully he's here with me as well.
And when Pad comes back, mate, how much easier? I thought you were terrific on the weekend. How much easier though will it be when Pad comes back in that forward line? You don't have to do as much of that grunt work.
I'd love to always help Pav out. He's done it for so many years, and I think most of the playing group and players would love to help such a champion of the game out and make it a lot more easy for him, as he's been terrific for the club. But he's, as I said, he's got all the credentials to speak for himself, but when he comes back, he draws so much attention as a player that if you work hard enough and work hard for him, that you can find yourself getting 3 or more than, being without him there, and a lot more eyes and attention come on yourself. But most of the players in the forward group would always love to have Pav back in.
Last one for me, in regards to Ryan Crowley. Last week was a bit easier for him. He went to Simon Black and then he got subbed out. This week it's a little bit harder. Are you aware that he probably needs some help? Does the team know he will need some help this week because they've got that 3 or 4 or 5 midfielders, and Swallow and Harvey and Wells and others through the middle? Do you feel for him?
Yeah, well, I think we always feel for Krause. Always gets one of the toughest jobs in the competition, playing on all the superstars of the game. And as a group, we really do try and help him out. It's not about Ryan beating one player, it's about the 22 beating that player. And we always love to try and help Ryan out because we know that he gives everything for this side. So for him, it's going to be another challenge for him, but I think he's willing and ready to go.
Good night,
Thanks, guys.